Welcome to the Standard Deviations podcast, presented by Orion Advisor Solutions and hosted by Dr. Daniel Crosby, Orion's Chief Behavioral Officer and New York Times bestselling author. Each week, Dr. Crosby interviews a fascinating new guest on a range of compelling topics, from literature to psychology to financial wellness. To learn more about Dr. Crosby's behavioral finance work at Orion, visit www.orion.com.
Hello and welcome to the Standard Deviations podcast. I am, as ever, your host, Dr. Daniel Crosby. I'm here today with a little bit of a special episode. We're going to do a solo episode today, but it's going to be a little different than some of the solo episodes we've done previously because it's going to feature content from my new book, The Soul of Wealth. Now, dear listeners, I try to add a lot of value on this podcast. Hopefully the longtime listeners have gotten some practical insights that they've been able to apply to their lives and their businesses. And I try not to ask for much in return, but I'm gonna change things up a little bit today, and I have an ask of you. Because this new book comes out in mid-October, but it is available for pre-sale right now on Amazon. The name of the book is, again, The Soul of Wealth. And pre-orders are material. Pre-orders are really impactful. They help the publisher know how many copies to print. They help ensure foreign rights deals and distribution deals and other things. So this pre-order time period is really critical. So if you're listening to this, if you like the things that we talk about today, if it seems to you like something that could help you in your life or your business, my ask of you is that you head on over to Amazon and pre-order The Soul of Wealth and look forward to that coming this fall. So the structure of The Soul of Wealth is a little bit different than the books I've written historically. You know, my previous books have been traditional, right? 10, 12, 13 chapters of 20 pages a piece, give or take, in a very traditional format. This one's a little bit different, because I was inspired by Rick Rubin's book on creativity, which is fantastic, and you have to check out if you haven't yet. But he has like 74 chapters in his book, each of them, 3-ish pages long. And I found it so readable, and I enjoyed just this sort of short essay approach so much that I took a similar approach with my own book, The Soul of Wealth. So there's actually 50 essays in The Soul of Wealth, and I'm going to read one of them to you today. So I hope you enjoy. The essay for today is called Giving is the Path to Abundance. So giving is the path to abundance. The world appears to be highly fragmented from a philosophical perspective. There are hundreds of varieties of belief and non-belief, and not one of them sums up anywhere close to claiming a majority of the global population as adherents. In a very real sense, whatever you believe or don't believe about the nature of reality in the world, most other people in the world have a slightly different take on it. But if we delve beyond this superficial and cynical perspective, we uncover a surprising amount of common ground rather than disagreement in our shared worldviews. Because although we may have come from different walks of life and different spiritual and religious backgrounds, ideas like compassion, kindness, justice, integrity, and nonviolence are shared by most cultures and creeds, although their expressions of these tenets comes from different philosophical or scriptural texts. And one such cross-cultural truism is the paradox that giving is the path to greater abundance. The Bible tells us in Proverbs 11:24 and 25 that, quote, one person gives freely yet gains even more, another withholds unduly but comes to poverty. A generous person will prosper, whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. The Tao Te Ching, an ancient Chinese text, advises, the wise man does not lay up his own treasures. The more he gives to others, the more he has for his own. The Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita, teaches us that a gift is pure when it is given from the heart to the right person at the right time and at the right place, and when we expect nothing in return. Rumi, the Sufi poet, believed that givers are like the ocean. They never empty because they are always being filled from within. Voices from every spiritual heritage across millennia and around the world have all espoused the same idea. Generosity is a paradoxical path to greater abundance. But what does the academic research say? Numerous studies have shed light on the significant impact of giving on the well-being of the giver, often surpassing the benefits experienced by the recipient. In a notable paper titled "Spending Money on Others Promotes Happiness," the authors found that the way individuals choose to spend their money is as crucial as the amount they earn in determining their level of contentment. The findings go on to suggest that pro-social spending is associated with increased happiness levels, irrespective of the participant's income. Furthermore, when the 632 subjects of the study unexpectedly received a cash windfall, their happiness levels increased significantly, not when splurging on themselves, but when they spent the money for the benefit of other people, even when controlling for their pre-windfall levels of happiness. So, the next time you receive a nice little bonus at work, maybe try sharing a little bit with friends, family, or even strangers. Arguably, the most widely known part of this research involves an experiment where participants were given either $5 or $20 with the instruction to spend it by the end of the day. Those directed to use the modest amount on others or to make charitable donations reported a higher post-windfall happiness than individuals told to indulge for themselves. Being generous and helping our fellow human is the more abundant path, so the evidence suggests. The question is then, why doesn't spending money on ourselves bring long-lasting joy? This takes us back to the hedonic treadmill again. Our happiness levels tend to adjust to our circumstances over time. Those shiny new things we buy might give us a temporary thrill, but the excitement quickly wears off. When we improve the lives of others, though, a deeper enrichment endures. The authors of the study went on to identify a key gap. Despite the clear advantages of generosity, the research revealed that people tend to allocate a significantly larger chunk of their income towards their personal spending priorities rather than on pro-social endeavors, and it's not a little gap. We're talking a 10-to-1 ratio here. But there's hope for us all. The findings show that even a minor change, like handing a $5 bill to someone in need, holds the power to produce non-trivial gains and happiness on any given day. This discovery highlights the transformative ability of small acts of kindness and demonstrates that anyone can make a positive impact regardless of their circumstances. However, there's another critical gap that requires our attention. In a different part of the study, participants were presented with a choice between personal and altruistic spending to maximize their own gratification, and a majority, that's 69 out of the 109, thought that personal spending would make them happier than being generous. Although the research plainly shows that altruism brings more happiness than personal spending, the notion that giving is the path to abundance has yet to be widely understood or go mainstream. Another set of research from 2017 aimed to investigate the actual neural mechanisms underlying the link between generosity and happiness. Subjects in an experimental group committed to spending a weekly endowment on others, while a control group agreed to spend on themselves. Using fMRI data, it was observed that the group of individuals who engaged in giving reported heightened levels of happiness. Moreover, brain scan data indicated a surge of activity in reward-related regions associated with happiness. The findings suggest that such changes in the brain promote a positive feedback loop, thereby encouraging individuals to take part in further acts of generosity. Thus, there is something in our brain that craves giving and rewards actions that stimulate it. During the worst of the COVID-19 pandemic, giving rose 6% as the crisis unfolded, a trend that surprised some researchers. Which begs the question, was our innate desire to give an emotional response to the collective need for uplift during those trying times? At the very least, it's a conjecture that might help restore your faith in humanity. Further reinforcing this idea is a 2013 study that analyzed data from 136 countries. The conclusion was that people worldwide experienced emotional benefits when they used financial resources to support others. The tendency persisted across economic conditions, even in the absence of social ties. The findings strongly indicate that the emotional rewards derived from helping other individuals are deeply ingrained in human nature, transcending cultural and economic boundaries. What's more, the thesis that giving leads to abundance holds true regardless of age. A research paper from 2012 titled "Giving Leads to Happiness in Young Children" elucidated the concept of a warm glow individuals felt after acts of kindness. Surprisingly, this feeling was most pronounced among children. Even toddlers as young as 2 years old derived greater happiness from giving treats to playmates than from receiving treats themselves. Additionally, children experienced increased happiness when engaging in costly giving, willingly sacrificing their own resources compared to giving without personal cost. I suspect I speak for most parents when I say that some of my proudest parenting moments have come as I've observed my own children act selflessly and then watch them reap the joyful benefits of that giving. Okay, so being charitable makes us happy from a young age and across cultures, but does it actually make us richer, as some researchers contend? In some ways, that doesn't make much sense at all. After all, shouldn't giving away a portion of your resources diminish your own wealth? That may be the case in the most literal sense, but there still seems to be some magic around generosity. According to Dunn and Norton, authors of the influential 2014 book Happy Money, those who give to charity often feel wealthier than those who do not, regardless of their income level. Surely you want to get on the path to abundance, right? Well, let's talk about some practical ways you can feel that warm glow that results from happier spending. The first suggestion I have is that you should start small. One impediment to giving is that we think it has to be grand. But just take a baby step and note the impact on aspects of your life, such as your budget and your personal happiness. Just one small move towards giving is often enough to make a difference and reshape how you view your financial resources. Second, consider giving of yourself. Remember, giving doesn't solely revolve around money. You can contribute your time and talents, allowing yourself to see those impacts firsthand. Giving of yourself is personally gratifying and can be accomplished on any budget. Third, make it meaningful. Reflect on what holds significance for you. For instance, my biggest charitable contribution of each of the past 5 years has been a gift to the psychology department of my alma mater to help young psychologists further their training. Although I trained to become a psychotherapist, I've spent my professional life studying the intersection of money, mind, and meaning. I've had an incredible career and have hopefully helped some people along the way, but I also truly mourn the lives I could have touched had I chosen to remain a practicing psychologist. Helping other psychologists do the work I didn't do is a way to give back that is personally meaningful to me and my life. What would your meaningful giving look like? And lastly, diversify. Now, this may be a money nerd thing, but I've lately gotten in the habit of diversifying my giving portfolio in the same way I would think about diversifying a basket of investments. Here's what I mean. A portion of our family giving goes to what philanthropy experts refer to as effective altruism, which is charitable gifts with an extreme bang for the buck in terms of saving human lives. Think of something like mosquito nets in developing countries, inexpensive but with enormous life-saving power. Another of our giving buckets is for things that make life worth living, and are personally meaningful to us. Mental health efforts for me, and gifts to the arts for my wife, who is a talented visual artist and pianist. Consider how you can optimize a diversified portfolio of giving that encompasses personal effort, effective altruism, and causes that hold deep significance for you. Scriptures and empirical evidence converge on a common truth about money and happiness. Giving is the best path to having true abundance. We truly enrich the world and our own lives when we are generous with others. Well, there you have it. One of 50 short essays from The Soul of Wealth. What did you think? I hope you loved it as much as I loved sharing it with you. I'm likely to do a handful of these. So again, I'm asking today that you navigate your way on over to Amazon, pre-order The Soul of Wealth, have a look, and put that in your basket and make it happen. For those of you who have already generously pre-ordered, I would love to hear from you and be able to thank you personally. Please hunt me down on LinkedIn, send me a tweet, something, so I can thank you personally. Thank you for listening to Standard Deviations, and I hope you've learned a little bit about generosity and how it can improve your life today.
Thanks for tuning in to Standard Deviations. If you can't wait till next week for more behavioral finance insights, visit www.orion.com. All opinions expressed by Dr. Daniel Crosby and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of or endorsement by Orion and its affiliates, subsidiaries, and employees. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for legal, tax, and investment decisions. The opinions are based upon information the participants consider reliable.